early, well, I guess late morning here of the Arnold Palmer Invitational 2022. And I'm going to pull up some head to head matchups live. I haven't looked at these, I haven't really broken down a lot of this yet. I'm going to pull up some head to head matchups, talk through the ones I like, the ones I think are a little off, the ones I think you should bet now. But also, what do they say from a DFS perspective? I do think too many DFS players fail to look at some of the head to head lines, some of the top 20 markets, and see about, what is that signaling about maybe some of the plays in DFS? Where can we find leverage in DFS? So I want to talk through some of that. If you're live in the chat, go ahead and hit a thumbs up, subscribe if you will, please. And I'll also try to, if I can juggle all this stuff at the same time, I'll try to take any questions in the chat, or if you want me to bring up any players that you have interest in, I'll look at those as well. I want to do these videos every single week, but I don't know that I'll do them live every week. Some of them may come at you where I get a little bit of a chance to do some research early and look at these lines early and kind of give some thoughts on some key lines and what they're saying. Today, it's been a tough day to cram it in. I was just on the Pat Mayo experience for his DraftKings show, and that took up a lot of my morning. So, here we are live and digesting this together. And be sure and check out the Pat Mayo experience if you've not already, but you probably are. So let's get to it. Let's take a look at the lines. I use a couple different tools here. Hang on. All right, I've got them pulled up, and I'm just going to give you some live thoughts on, what I think, what I think we need to pay attention to here. Let's actually start with some of the chalky plays here. I like to do that. So Rory is looking to be the chalk. He is projected now, and again, this is Tuesday at like 11 a.m. In DFS, Rory's projected around 23%, right there with Rahm at 22, 23%. What's interesting is that is that he opened as a massive dog to John Rahm, plus 133. John Rahm is minus 162. It's an even bigger spread on another sports book I'm looking at. So I've got a few different sports books here. I don't give away all the secrets. We can talk through that maybe in the Nut Hut, but there's one sports book in particular that we look at that we feel like has been the most accurate over time. They're usually early to get the lines out, and it seems that a lot of books tend to tail this other sportsbook's lines. I'm not going to mention them, but I'll mention some of the other ones. He opened as a massive dog to FanDuel. He opened as to Rahm on FanDuel, DraftKings Sportsbook, BetMGM. Across the board, Rory is a major underdog to John Rahm. Now that's interesting for a lot of reasons. And I don't know. I mean, from a head-to-head betting perspective, plus 133 on Rory McIlroy is kind of interesting. So that could be cool. Why is my camera all jacked up? Let's see. I don't think it's out of focus. I think it's the stream quality for whatever reason. So I don't know what to do. Sorry about that. It is what it is. We're working the kinks out, right? DB's first week full time. We're working the kinks out. From a head-to-head betting perspective, I don't like betting favorites like studs. I don't really like doing that in golf. And even these lines in particular, I think the betting markets tend to, because they get a lot more action on those names because they're household names, I think they tend to be a little sharper, and maybe don't have as much possible leverage to gain. Whereas we go down into the depths and we find a line on like Lonto Griffin, I feel like there's more edge to be had in some of those lines. But the Rory Rahm line is interesting to start. Rahm is a head-to-head favorite in every single matchup, as you could imagine. That's been that way for all year. Let's look at Will Zalatoris. I think he's an interesting one. He's coming in projected around the third or fourth highest owned player in DFS as well. Zalatoris opens as a slight favorite to Adam Scott. Where's Adam Scott's ownership? So Will Zalatoris projected around 20%, Scott around 16%. And I think that's a pretty decent salary saving. $400 salary savings on DraftKings if you're looking at that. Also opens as a major favorite over Paul Casey and Tyrrell Hatton, a slight favorite. Let's see where he is in other books. Yep, favorite against Hatton, another favorite against Paul Casey. So, yeah, it does look like all the books, nothing really shocking here, like Willie Zalatoris as well. I don't see anything that like makes me go, yeah, that's weird, or that line is off. I don't see anybody that I'd like to bet against them. So these are probably all head-to-head lines that I would probably stay away from personally. But I do love Will Zalatoris this week. I think it's going to be a great week for him. The guy's ready to win. Let's look at the next one. This one kind of shocked me when I was looking at early ownership projections. The fourth highest projected owned player currently, as of Tuesday at 11:30 in the morning, is Matthew Fitzpatrick. Now, Fitz has played really well at Arnold Palmer, mostly because of a nuclear hot putter, and he's been playing well lately. So I mean, I get it. I just am surprised he's the fourth highest projected player. What's interesting is he is a dog to a couple names projected below him. I guess not really. Hideki is projected to be about the same, 15, 16%. Fitzpatrick falling in that 16 to 17% range. Hideki opened as a pretty decent favorite against Fitzpatrick, but now it's almost a coin toss here. Hideki's minus 113, Fitzpatrick minus 107. So the line is moving towards Fitzpatrick's way. Could be something there. He opened and remains a pretty decent underdog to Sungjae M at minus 125 and plus 103 for Fitzpatrick. Let's take a look at some of these other books. Okay, on FanDuel, Sungjae and Fitzpatrick are dead even, so not really anything to. But then on DraftKings, wow, that's interesting. So FanDuel has Sungjae and Fitzpatrick's line both at minus 112. DraftKings has Fitzpatrick minus 130 and Sungjae plus 105. Said other trusted book has Sungjae M at minus 125 and Fitzpatrick plus 103. That is wild. I look at these every week and I rarely see where one book has heavy favorite over here, dog over here, and then the other book has completely opposite. And then one book has them basically dead even. That is very interesting. So it appears that folks can't seem to decide between Fitz and Sungjae. Personally, I like Sungjae more, especially in DFS. I like the leverage. He's projected around 14%. It's a little bit lower than Fitzpatrick. Ownership's kind of diluted and spread out with a lot of these big names here, other than the few at the top. But that is an interesting line. I will want to watch how that line moves as we progress throughout the week. Late Wednesday, what does that line look like? Is more money continuing to pour in on Fitz? Or is it kind of staying put or going the other way to Sungjae? All right, let's look at Victor Hovland and Scotty Scheffler. Those are a couple popular names. Hovland projected or comes out as a slight favorite to Scotty, a dog to Rory McIlroy, but actually opened as even against Rory and then now has moved to a significant dog. So if you're trying to make a debate between, do I pay the 11-1 on DraftKings for Rory and use the extra $300 over Hovland, it appears that for the most part, the betting markets in terms of head-to-head would agree. So let's see if I can find any other lines on no other Rory Hovland lines. Now, this is interesting. DraftKings has Hovland opened as a plus 105 dog to Scotty Scheffler at minus 130, and he remains there. Whereas FanDuel, BetMGM have him a little closer than that, but actually BetMGM has Hovland as the favorite. FanDuel has Scheffler as the favorite. So some more kind of mixed sentiment here on these two. Again, if you're in the chat, if you're watching live, feel free to put in a question, give me a player that you'd like to have me bring up here, and let's talk about it. Just going through some of the popular names right now, seeing what the head-to-heads tell us about it. Now, here's a popular play that I love. Keith Mitchell, chalk that I think I may eat in DFS. Big-time favorite over Max Homa, minus 123 to plus 102. And you're saving some cash there. Homa's 8,700 on DraftKings, Mitchell 8,100. So I'm liking that line. That line confirms what I'd like to do. Also, a big favorite on Justin Rose, another name right around that range. I think Rose in the 7K. Yeah, Rose is 7,700. So $400 difference there. But he's a minus 126 to minus 102 favorite against Rose. This is kind of crazy here. Now, okay, DraftKings has his matchup against Sam Burns. Keith Mitchell is a minus 120 to plus 100 favorite over Sam Burns. He opened at that number and remains at that number now. Man, I mean, Burns has not been playing well. Obviously, Mitchell is playing very, very well, but just the pedigree of Burns is solid. $700 price savings on Keith Mitchell there, but obviously he is the chalkier player. But confirmation to me that the head-to-head bettors agree. And, most head-to-head bettors tend, people that bet a lot of head-to-heads tend to be sharper bettors in it for the long-term profit. Your whales, your sharps, whatever They tend to bet these head-to-head matchups. So it is confirming that if I'm going to eat some chalk on Keith Mitchell, for now, as of Tuesday, late morning, the head-to-head bettors agree. All right, Hideki. I don't see a lot of lines out for Hideki. Hideki projected around 15, 16%. I already talked about him with Fitzpatrick. He is a dog to pretty significant dog to Sungjae M on this one book, but it's moved Sungjae's direction. So it looks like money is moving. Let's look at Sungjae because that also happened. Yeah, that happened with the Fitz. No, it didn't happen with the Fitzpatrick line. I thought it did. Let's look at Sungjae. Yeah, the head-to-head bettors like Sungjae. That's a name we talked about on the podcast last night as well. A name that we thought could be sneaky in tournaments. He's right now projected around 14, 15%. So not terrible, but not super sneaky either. Now, Paul Casey, Lord have mercy. Everybody loves some Paul Casey. He's projected around that 16% number as well. Big time favorite over Tommy Fleetwood, as he should be. Dog to Terrell Hatton. Dog to Will Zalatoris. Any other interesting lines? Nothing really standing out here. Slight favorite to Jason Kokrak. Now, we talked him up. Kokrak's right in the, where is he? No, he's like in the 10% range, but it's close. This head-to-head matchup with Casey is close. Minus 112, Kokrak to minus 116. Casey, that's on FanDuel. DraftKings has him against Zalatoris. BetMGM has him against Burns as a favorite. So, for the most part, it looks like Casey's loved by the head-to-heads in the books. The line on Kokrak actually the closest, really. So that's Paul Casey. Let's see if I can find another interesting one. Scotty Scheffler, favorite over Hovland. We talked about that. Scheffler, dog to Rahm and Rory, of course. Not a lot of interesting lines on him. Let's look at Horschel. This guy. Horschel, big time favorite over Tringali and Gooch. Both of those guys are plus money dogs to Horschel. Horschel's projected around 15%. He's right there even with Leishman on FanDuel. Big favorite over Kevin Na on DraftKings Sportsbook. Slight favorite over Kokrak. I'd rather have Kokrak, honestly. So, yeah, nothing really popping for Horschel either. Let's see. If you've got any questions, any names you want me to bring up, put it in the chat. I didn't tell anybody I was doing this, so there's probably not a lot of folks looking at this. Let's look at Cameron Young, the hot new stud. Oh, no matchups there for Young. All right, here we go. Wow. Okay, here's a line. Cameron Young projected at around 15%. Opened as a favorite, minus 117 to minus 104 favorite over Tom Hoge. Has now been bet. Now he's a dog. Minus 113 Hoge, minus 107 Cameron Young. Let's see where he is on other books. FanDuel, he's a favorite over Sergio. Doesn't look like there's been a whole lot of action on that one. Big time favorite over Keegan Bradley. Minus 130 over plus 105 to Keegan. But the Hoge line surprises me. Huh. I mean, Hoagie's projected around 10. Obviously, coming off his first win a couple weeks ago. Hoagie's a good ball striker for sure. I don't know, man. That is an interesting. I did not expect to see Cameron Young moving to dog status on against Hoge. Yet he's a favorite on another book, of course, against Garcia, against Bradley. Interesting. Let's look at Hoagie's lines on that same book. He doesn't have. He's only got the one line on Cameron Young. That one's an interesting one. We already looked at Sungjae. Max Homa. That's a guy. Homa right now looking around 14% in DFS. That's like getting to be the number where I just stay away from Max Homa personally. That's just me. But let's see what his lines are looking like at the moment. Homa dog to Keith Mitchell, plus 102 to minus 123. Favorite against Corey Connors. Yeah, Connors' ball striking's been tough to watch. Favorite against Maverick McNeely, minus 120 to plus 100. Opened there, remains there on DraftKings Sportsbook. This would be a matchup I would probably bet McNeely. The consistency of Homa concerns me somewhat. This would be one where I'd be looking at possibly taking that matchup with Matt McNeely. Not really anything else to speak of there. Let's look at Christian Bezuidenhout. Everybody's talking about Seabez. Wow. This is an interesting line. Seabez projected at 14% ownership. Okay. Corey Connors used to be the DFS darling, definitely struggling. The ball striking has left him in the last few rounds, last few tournaments. He's like sub 6 or 7% owned. Although I will give you a tip right now. Pat Mayo talked about him on his show and kind of likes him. Maybe Pat's the sharp, maybe that's what it is. So I could see his ownership maybe getting up no more than 10%, I would say at this point for Corey Connors. But Corey Connors opens as a pretty sizable favorite over Seabez, minus 125 to plus 103, and has been bet further that direction. So now Connors is a minus 137 favorite, Seabez plus 113. That is very interesting considering Seabez could be double the ownership of Corey Connors. Seabez also massive dog, even bigger dog to Maverick McNeely on FanDuel, minus 142 to plus 112. Also a dog to Jason Kokrak, plus Seabez plus 100, Kokrak minus 120 on DraftKings Sportsbook. So the books, the head-to-head bettors do not like Christian Bezuidenhout, it appears. Who is Coco? Coco is a new daddy like me. Corey Connors. Oh, stroke gain home life. Corey Connors, little tip there from fellow Canadian AC in the chat. Corey Connors, new dad like me. Sleep regression, teething, and growth spurts are no joke. That is true. That could happen. Hi, Lisa. Thanks for joining. Charlie, what up? Charlie O, my boy. Well, I mean, the Corey Connors thing, the baby life can go two different directions. Maybe the books, are, are babysitting little baby Connors. I don't know, but the books are liking Corey Connors a lot more than Seabez. But consensus wide, the books do not like Seabez. And honestly, I told Pat last night we talked about on the show, like, can Seabez win? And I know head-to-head betting, we're not talking about can he win, but can he win? I don't think he can right now. I haven't seen anything that shows me he can do it. I want to see him in the hunt late on Sunday. We've not seen that on the PGA Tour from Christian Bezuidenhout. Yes, he's won twice on the European Tour in back-to-back weeks, one of them in South Africa in his backyard, basically. But we've just not seen him do it on the PGA Tour. So to me, this reiterates, I talked about Keith Mitchell as chalk I'm willing to eat. The books, the bettors on head-to-heads seem to agree. That's confirmation for me there. Seabez is approaching chalk I'm willing to fade, and the books and the head-to-head bettors tend to agree there. Let's look at Mark Leishman. He's my next name on the board, around 13, 14% projected in terms of DFS ownership. Opened as pretty close to Adam Scott, almost even there with Adam Scott, but has now since moved Adam Scott's direction, minus 123 to plus 101 on Leishman. Also opened as a pretty close deal, close line there with Terrell Hatton, and it's also moved the exact same number, minus 123 Hatton, plus 101 Leishman. The books, all right, so he's even with Horschel on FanDuel at minus 112. Dog to Hatton. Actually, I'm sorry, favorite to Hatton. That's interesting. So favorite to Hatton on DraftKings Sportsbook, a dog to Hatton on said trusted book. And then, of course, minus 110 both on BetMGM. So the books are pretty spread out there on Leishman. I don't know what to say with that. I don't know what to say about Mark Leishman there. Let's keep working down. Let's look at a name I love to look at here. How long have I been doing this? Should I stop? Have we gone too far, or should we keep going? What should I do? All right, Luke List. I want to look at it. List is being projected around 12%. All right. Trusted book. One line on Luke List, and it's against another favorite player of mine this week, and that's Lanto Griffin. Luke opened and remains a pretty heavy favorite, minus 127 to Lanto plus 105. Lanto projected around 10%. So they're both around the same projections in terms of DFS. No lines on FanDuel. He's opened. He opened as a dog to Cameron Tringali, but has since moved to even at -110 for each guy on DraftKings Sportsbook. So money moving Luke's way there on DraftKings Sportsbook. That could be, the Tour Junkies listeners or the Luke List diehards like myself. Who knows? 6K guys. All right, you want to see some 6K guys in there? Let me see. Give me a name. Give me a couple names. 6K. Let me look on my list. Highest projected owned 6K player. I can't find him. I don't see a lot of 6K guys projected up there. Who's some chalky 6K names here? Putnam. Should we look at Putnam? And I say chalky, I mean like chalky for 6K. All right, Putnam opens as a favorite over Sahith Theegala. No line on FanDuel, no line on BetMGM. All right, so there goes Putnam. We got one line for him. Ricky. Let's look at Ricky. Ricky's always so interesting because the public loves to bet Ricky. Well, this shows you how bad Patrick Reed is because Ricky opened as a pretty major favorite to Reed and has actually continued to move as a favorite to Reed. He's currently at -125 to Reed's +103. He's also a favorite on FanDuel over Cam Davis, -118 to Davis, -108. No lines on Ricky on DraftKings Sportsbook. That's interesting. So the two lines I found for him, Reed and Davis, favorite on both, Charlie. Yeesh. All right, Svensson. There's another good one. All right, give me some more names in the 6K. Let's see. Svensson came out and had a great Sunday or a great tournament this past week at the Honda. Ball striking was solid. I find no lines for Adam Svensson. Literally zero. They don't love the Svensson play. Carlos Ortiz was a name I liked in the 6K range. Let's look at him. Oof. Okay. Well, so another somewhat popular name to be as cheap as he is Sebastian Munoz. And I say popular, he's at around 10% right now. There is a line on Munoz and Ortiz. Munoz opened as a -120 to +100 favorite. He has now moved, the money's rolling in. He is now a -138 favorite over Carlos Ortiz at +115. You only have to spend $100 more on Munoz, and Ortiz is probably going to be around like 4 or 5%. So Munoz is 10%. A 10% Munoz is approaching fade territory, but if it stays right there, I mean, that's not a bad play. He has been playing really good. The irons have been sharp for Sebastian Munoz lately. And I think he's got a good record here too. Let's see if I can find. That's the only line I could find on Ortiz, and it's also the only line I can find on Munoz. Any other names in the 6K range? I think that's. Did I miss any other chalky plays? I do want to look at. Okay, just so AC saying Ortiz is projected around 8%. So wow. So two guys basically right around the same price range, right around the same ownership projection. But that's what I'm talking about. When you see a book put out a line on one of them that is a significant favorite and it continues to move that direction, that could be telling and could help make you a better decision. Oh, what was your Kirk question? Let's look at Chris Kirk. Sorry, Charlie. Chris Kirk is right now looking to be around that 10% range. All right, so trusted book. He opens as a dog to Kevin Na at -101 to -120. However, he has since moved. A lot of action coming in on the Kirk side, apparently, or possibly. He's at -123 now. So the line literally flipped 180 degrees there. He's -123. Kevin Na is +101. Kirk has a line on FanDuel Sportsbook. Pretty decent favorite over my buddy Siwoo Kim. -126 to -102. And also another big favorite over Lanto. Lanto's +105 on Kirk right now. Yikes. The books do not like Lanto, and I don't like that. Ooh, here's an interesting one. Where's he at? Oh, damn. Actually around the same projection. I like this line. This is a good line to talk about. We may end on this one. BetMGM has Chris Kirk at -105, opened at -105, and remains -105, to Taylor Gooch at -118. Gooch is the favorite, both coming in right now around 10%. I don't hear anybody really talking about Taylor Gooch. And I know I'm a sucker for Taylor Gooch, but he had one bad tournament, really, at the Genesis where he missed the cut. He played a lot of golf. he came out in 2022, played a lot of golf, played the Century, played the Sony, played the Amex. Played the Farmers, 4 events in January, all of them right there back to back. Then he comes out, takes 1 week off, plays the Phoenix, and then goes right back, plays the Genesis, misses the cut. Had a really off week with the irons. Very uncommon for Taylor Gooch. And people want to write him off. I think some of that could have been fatigue. He takes a week off, and now we're here. So I think this could be an interesting spot for Gooch to bounce back. He's made 3 cuts at the Arnold Palmer in his career there with a best finish of 13th in 2020. And I think when you look at him versus Chris Kirk, I like Chris Kirk, but I think Gooch definitely has higher upside for sure. So in that and the book, the head-to-head betting market would tend to agree there. So I like that. That's an interesting one. All right, somebody asked about Garrick Higgo. Let's see if I can find a Higgo line. What is it with Garrick Higgo? I'm not believing it yet. I find 0 lines on Garrick Higgo. Let me look for Aaron Rye. Probably not going to find one on him either. Nope, I didn't. And there we go. That's all our questions. That means, okay, Keegan. Did I already talk about Keegan? Keegan. No, a big favorite over Kisner. Massive favorite. Minus 163 to plus 134 on Kiz. Keegan's looking around 11 or 12% right now. Kiz is not even on the radar. So, dog to Cameron Young. That's who I talked about. I talked about him being an underdog. Plus 105 to Cameron Young, minus 130 on DK Sportsbook. So, there we go. All right. Listen, thanks for watching this. Not sure it'll be the same format every week. I would love for you to leave a comment after the live video is over. Leave a comment, whatever. Tell me if you like this, if you didn't, what you liked about it, what you'd like to hear more about, if you want it shorter. I don't know. We're going to play around with this. It's DB's first week full time. So it is what it is. Give me a like, give me a subscribe, share this out. Thank you guys so much. Let's see. It's Tuesday. Heavy petting emails coming out. AC's DraftKings preview is already up on tourjunkies.com. Chalk Bomb comes out tomorrow. Our covers top 20 and head-to-head matchup article is probably going to hit here in the next hour or two on covers.com. Check all that out. Tons of content rolling out. Get in the Nut Hut. The Discord server is popping. Let's have a week and bend over our bookies. May your screens be green. And